Welcome in. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know the drill, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. They will bring it right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or make it down to Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Tell them to pump it up and save yourself 15%. I think we need a new thing to say, right?
Instead of pump it up.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like Saturdays, like Saturdays or something. I don't know. Pump it up just feels like it's maybe at the, at its expiration date for a promo.
Yeah. Possibly.
Maybe we'll just have them use the German name for the word bird. And that'll.
Sure.
It'll make sense soon enough. All right. Let's get started. It is, we're a day past the scrimmage. Aaron and I talked about it a little bit. Well, I mean, we did the nightcap last night. It was, the number one nightcap that we've done in a while. So I thought, let's run it back. But this time, let's get the thoughts and observations from Dave Simone. I'm sure they're a little bit different than what Aaron and I had to say, as Dave was at practice, not only at the scrimmage, but also there on Friday. So he has 2 days of information to discuss. We don't want to give away everything that we're going to do Wednesday, but I think it might be a little bit outdated by then. So,
oh yeah, we'll be well. I think we'll be well past that by Wednesday.
So I figured tonight would be a good night to get Dave's thoughts here. So Dave, 2 days of practice. You are generally, because you're not there every day, you're a little bit more critical is not the word, but you're a little bit more analytic or whatever you want to use in your observations, because it's not something that you're seeing constantly. You're coming in for like quick snapshots. So
that's true.
Overall, give me your observations, your overall takeaways. Overall takeaways is probably better. Your like 10,000 feet view of seeing 2 days, 1 day of practice. That was a pretty physical day of practice, and then a scrimmage.
Yeah. So Friday's practice was, I would say, 75% dominated by the defense. The offense had some success in red zone work, had some success at the very end, kind of whatever they were doing, 11 on 11 at the very end. But for the most part, it was a day pretty much controlled by the defense. I think they got to Emory, more than at any other point, consistently throughout the entire day. He was either under duress, guys weren't open. He seemed to be missing high, which we had not talked about at any point in time over the last couple of weeks.
Tells me there was more activity at his feet.
Right. So it's not like it wasn't a reoccurring theme. So it was just one of those days. And then he came out, and I thought he played quite well yesterday in the scrimmage. But I guess, my big picture takeaway from Friday and Saturday is that there is cohesion, and as a simpleton watching offense, like, I know what they're trying to do, and I don't think you could say that for very much of the last season, especially in the run game. They are, to their core, going to be a running team in a wide zone scheme with a running quarterback and some big play options on the outside. And that's fine, because, like, if we're being real, like, last year's offense was 76th in SP plus. Like, that's just not good.
Right.
They
were middle, like, they were average.
That's
worse. Today's college football, average is bad.
That's worse than average.
Well, but there's 138 or whatever.
130, 133, I think now.
Yeah, they're right on that average, like, line, and that is bad.
So, like, when we talk offense for this year, I think rightfully so, we had concerns coming in just because of all the new pieces. But I think they can be better than that this year.
I do too.
So
I think the run game has a chance to just be considerably, like we talked about it on a couple different runs where there, it looked mundane, but it was 6 yards. There was a second and 10. I remember specifically. They gained 6.5 yards.
Yeah,
and you were like, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, second and 10. It was a pretty standard zone run play to Ryan Montgomery, and he churned out 6-7 yards and puts them in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, which just didn't happen last year.
Right.
It was either big plays or nothing. Not a very, especially on the running game side, not an efficient run game last year. So, if you're able to have those types of plays, that is what sets you up for the Miles Montgomery type of play or the 20, 30-yard run type of play.
Or Brady Drogosh going 99 yards from the end zone.
I have a feeling that's not something we'll see again for a while. But if you ask me what my big takeaway was from the last 2 days, the first thing that comes to my mind is that there is a plan offensively, and we'll see how that continues to come together and see how that goes against Big 12 teams who are undoubtedly better than what UC has been playing recently. But let's also not kid ourselves. These aren't
it's not a defense first league.
They're not top. There's not going to be a lot of top 25 defenses that they go up against this year.
Iowa State, maybe.
Iowa State, UCF will have a good defense. Iowa State will have a good defense. There's a lot of questions. Oklahoma, BYU. I think Baylor probably will.
Yeah, that's who I was going to bring up there.
Oklahoma State, Houston, West Virginia, Kansas. Those guys, unless they do something, they
don't play a lot of defense.
They have not done, too recently. You're going to have a chance again to make hay against those defenses. And I would much rather, as we've talked about, I don't know if we've talked about it on the show or just, one-on-one, is in camp, tell me the offense is doing good because I think the defense will be fine. What fine is, who knows? But if you told me through 2 weeks of camp, dude, the offense doesn't matter who's out there, doesn't matter what day it is, they are not doing anything. That would have been way more of a concern to me than the opposite. And we saw that Saturday. The first team defense came out and put it on them early.
I want to get to that.
And then the offense was like, all right, we'll make, whatever adjustments you make in a scrimmage. But they clearly had a good day, I think, overall. You had 5 rushing touchdowns from the quarterbacks. You had a 75-yard run by Miles Montgomery. You had, some other big plays in the pass game. So it was definitely a good day for both, but it started out very dominant from the first team defense.
And why did it start out very dominant? Because they were out there smoking people. Anything that went into the flats, that was short, that was within the defense's ability to play upfield, Ivan Pace. The Ivan Pace hit on Kiner was
Deshaun
the
Pace,
second,
right.
Or Deshaun Pace, sorry. The Deshaun Pace hit on Kiner was we didn't even really have our notebooks out yet.
It was the first third down. The first 2 plays were run plays to the right, and Dante Corleone pretty much stopped those by himself for 1-2 yard gains, and then nobody was open. They checked it down to Kiner, and DP just came up and cleaned him out.
And he took it easy.
Oh, he could.
He could have been.
He could have detonated.
Devastating. Yeah, it could have been devastating. And then you had the Watley strip sack where he went right around Buford. Debo.
Dorian Jones
had to hit on
very
Miles.
similar play to the one to Corey. I mean, a dump off and just was right there.
And then Braden Smith got rocked by Brian Threats. Like the entire tone of the first 3 drives was the defense is here to lay the fucking wood today.
Yeah, I mean, it just like you've talked about it. There's just a mentality that I think was bred in these guys early that was not there last year that is now back. Like, if you're going to make a mistake, make it 100 miles an hour going forward and we'll figure it out.
Trying to rock somebody.
Right. Like, it's just so much more attacking, so much more, forceful, aggressive. Like, make them make a decision. Don't sit here and try to make a decision based off what you see. Like, be attacking. Make them make the decision.
Yeah.
So, lots of like yesterday on both sides of the ball.
I think a big concern we all have is depth, because this roster was cobbled together, especially at the top. Like, if you look at the top of this roster, there's not many guys we know, right? There are not, you want to go through it, Kandra, Buford, all the wide receivers except Chris Scott, Emory Jones, a larger part of the defense than we want to think about, Gresiak and Dorian Jones and DJ Taylor and Jordan Young. And there's a lot of uncertainty. So depth is something we need to worry about. How did you feel watching, like when you're watching the 2s? I know you don't watch the 3s. It's not in your contract. There's actually a clause in the Dave Simone BCJ contract that he's not required to watch the 3s. It's not that he's never watched the 3s. It's that he's not required.
Someone must have told Coach Satterfield, because for about the first half hour of practice, those guys didn't get on the field. There was one drive by the 2s in like the first 30 minutes.
I think 6 of the first 7 drives were by the 1s. I love that. Like, that man does not waste time. We are not out here to watch him. Like, we're going to run 120, 150 plays, whatever. The 2s will get their time. But we are here at the start of this practice to see the 1s.
Yeah.
Let's go. What did you see from the 2s, though?
I'm feeling better in the sense of guys are showing me, at least, that they're progressing to the point where they can be counted on to fill a specific role. And that role is not to come in and play like 60, 70 snaps.
Right.
But that's still a vital role. Like, Dante Corleone and Juwan Briggs are not...
Can't play every down.
Shouldn't. Well, they could if they had to.
They can't play every... Like, if you want them to be...
They're not effective playing more than about 30 to 40% of the snaps. Okay, so coming into camp, it's like, who's taking the rest of those snaps?
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a good idea of what Dominique Perry is, just from the past.
Yeah.
But I think Derek Shepard and Jalen Hunt have shown that, yes, they can spell those guys. Now, if you have to
play both spots.
If you have to now rely on them to play 30 to 40% of the snaps, then you're probably in trouble. But
here's where I do feel good on the defensive line. Phillips, essentially, I think it's going to be Briggs, Corleone, Phillips. Malik is going to be a rotation guy.
Yeah.
Like a heavy rotation guy, but a rotation guy.
Watley, 3 down linemen, right?
Watley is going to be a rotation guy who has looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Shepard and Hunt. And like that, all of a sudden, now you're talking about those front 3 is really like 6 or 7.
Right.
Which is what, like, that's the desire.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I've noticed more guys with defensively, like Jamal Williams keeps progressing. I think
So does Gilly.
Tyler Gillison is progressing. I think Brian Sims is probably not
a year away.
He's a true freshman. But I'll tell you what, man. When I was there in the spring, and I'm like, who the hell is number 17?
Yeah,
because he was an early enrollee, and I'm like, that dude, like, he does not look like a true freshman.
My feeling on Brian Sims is this time next year, we're going to be talking a lot about Brian Sims.
Yeah, so like him, not quite there yet, but again, progressing. Dion Hunter is going to help this year. The New Mexico linebacker, linebacker transfer. He's going to play. He's going to help. I think similar to Brian Sims, Jonathan Thompson keeps progressing, and he's
farther, and he's in that second year.
Right, he's further along, but he's not. I don't think he's going to be like, maybe
I don't rule him. I love you know.
But right,
I'm a
but
huge
like,
Jonathan
if
Thompson.
you're only going to play two middles, like how much opportunity is he really going to get?
I'm saying if he's needed for a week or two to like fill in, he's not going to be as good as the guy he's filling in for.
Right.
But I love his instincts.
Yeah.
Like I love his ability to make plays.
Him, and then I think Justin Harris actually took the 1 snaps. Kind of, but like him and Jordan Young. But I mean, and then Kellen Carroll, I think, is one that can help this year too. That corner.
He's getting there. Yeah.
He's getting there.
Would you say he's past bump?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I don't know that I'm fully ready to say it, but it's close.
I think so.
Kellen Carroll's had a good camp.
He's flashed though. He's made play on the ball on Saturday. Like offensively, Albert Bridges, right? Another, So I mean, there are some.
That's a dude that like looks like an NFL safety. I don't know if he'll ever be an NFL safety, but he's like 6'4", 210 pounds. Like,
I mean, I feel like he ends up. Does he end up growing into the linebacker? Right. Well, does he end up growing into the DP role in this defense?
Yeah, maybe.
I think there's more guys on defense that jump out in that like second group to me. Offensively, I feel much better about the interior of the line with Gavin, Kandra, Radosevic, and Tinsley. I think you have 4 guys there that they feel doesn't matter who starts. Like,
I think there's a 5th I wouldn't hate if he had to play.
Who's that?
Judea Milan.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed him Friday and Saturday, but I think
I noticed him early in the week.
If you get down to your fifth interior guy, like
you're probably in trouble. But like, he is a guy that looks like he's coming on.
He's coming along.
Watch like individuals and like where his progress is.
The concern is still at tackle. They just give up the edge too easily too often. Still,
I'm starting just between us. Starting to get worried about right tackle.
Just between us, like me and you and all the other people that are going to watch this.
Us. No, it's just us. We're just
I mean, he's got to be better. Like Watley got around him on the second drive very easily for what would have been a strip sack fumble. It's got to be better. They are helped a little bit by Emery's running ability, and if you're going to be weak on the outside, not up the middle, because theoretically, guy goes outside quick. Right. Emery could step up into that spot, whereas if a guy comes middle quick, the quarterback will peel out right into the rushing ends.
Yeah. Until they start taking 3 steps upfield, spinning back inside, and just crushing him as he goes to escape.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's got to be better. I think they're all right, from a run game standpoint.
I haven't sensed a ton of John Williams issues.
No.
Right tackle has not been great.
No.
So, recently. The more the pads have gone on and guys are at full speed, Buford has to get better if he's going to be the guy. Or else I think they have to at least look at Wilder or somebody to, hold that spot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see in, whether it's talking to people or just watching tomorrow, does anything that happened yesterday change anything? Receivers, I think, like I put it on the board, like I say the word fine because I don't know. And I'm not going to say they're going to be great. I'm not going to say they're going to be terrible. Like, but I think you have kind of your core group to me is Wiggins, Ollie, Henderson, Braden Smith, Turner, and Chris Scott. That's kind of like your
Evans right on the cusp.
He's in my next three just because he's still working to that, like, and then you have Evan, Barry Jackson, and Sterling Buckhalter. So you have 8 guys that will play. I mean, they're all going to play. I don't know how many snaps.
We didn't know if there would be 4. We didn't know if there would be 4 6 months ago.
So you have 8 guys, 5 that I feel good about, 3 that can come in if need be, and are, especially in like Evan and Barry's case, like Evan's just transitioning to receiver, and he had a good week too. So he's kind of coming along.
Had a very good week.
Barry's a freshman. He had a really good spring. I haven't noticed him as much.
He's just not on the field as much because Smith and Turner are out there.
Because there's other slot guys now. It's not just him and Leslie Ando.
Ando had a touchdown, I think, didn't he?
So wide receiver, I think is okay. In the backfield, Miles Montgomery's been my guy since the day I saw his tape before he was even a Bearcat, and that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. If you're going to run wide zone, you should give the ball to the guy that is the best running back in your system to run wide zone.
Did you see the Buford hold on his 75-yard touchdown?
No, I was on the defense's sideline.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I've had people tell me it was.
Well, then it wasn't a hold because the refs didn't call it.
Right, there was no flag. Aaron said the same thing last night.
They threw 16. They called 16 penalties.
Yeah, they weren't shy to throw the flag.
It wasn't like no. So hey,
because I was just talking to a couple people with the opposite vantage point, and I was like, man, that hole is huge, and they were like, yeah, that's because Buford held a guy for like 15 yards. Well, okay, he got away with it. Touchdown.
It couldn't have been that bad because if it was where the ball was going, and there's multiple refs looking at that, then whatever. But I mean,
you know what Dan Horde would have said on that play? Touchdown!
That's right.
Bearcats!
I just like him. I would give him the ball.
Yeah, he's not Jerome Ford fast, but he's in that. He's in the same. Yeah, he's in the same arena.
He outran the whole defense. So
yeah. Well, Brady Jurgosh outran the whole defense too.
Well, he got touched. Well, we do have to admit he did get touched.
He got.
Well, it wouldn't have resulted in a tackle. Right.
He got pushed in the back 95 yards after where the play started.
Yeah. Stephen Bird's had a good couple days. I noticed him Friday and yesterday. Thought he really
I think he's got a chance to be a really good, like, when teams are starting to, like, and this is the point of wide zone, right? You want them to flow. So then when you go up the middle, they're not ready for it because it's not something that you do regularly.
Yeah, touchdown.
I think Bird is a guy that, like, one cut up the middle, he could be pretty good.
Yeah, he had a good move inside and then brought it back outside for a touchdown yesterday. And but I mean they're fine at running back. You got several dudes.
We've gone too long.
Yeah. I don't
want to talk about anything else.
That's about it.
We've got content all week to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's go. Thanks to Dave for popping in tonight. And we will be back with the BBP tomorrow. I've got opening night of volleyball, so I'll be joining at some point in time. I can't guarantee when. But that's the nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.